Next, women, old men, and children poured out of their huts. Little Heart pulled me into hers. There, sitting in a hammock, was a very old man that looked weary and spent. "So you must be Tucky Joe. I'm Linus Zabala," he said as he smiled. "You can speak English," I said, surprised-like. "Of course I can. I learned it in school," he smiled. Turns out that he was the onlyest one that could. "You have been very kind to my granddaughter," he added as he motioned to Little Heart. I smiled at her. "She's an angel, all right. Doesn't say much, though," I said. "She hasn't spoken since she saw her mother killed by soldiers. Her father and brother were taken." His voice trailed off. "Your name is the only thing she says." "Do you folks see a lot of soldiers around here?" I asked, trying to gauge where enemy troops might be. "No," he answered. "We were grateful to see them leave. We don't know where they are. They took all of our young men and food. Now we are starving," the old man said as he cried. "But you got a river right there. There must be a lot of fish in it," I said. "They took all of our nets and fishing baskets. We have no way of getting the fish out of the river," he answered. I thought for a minute. "Have your womenfolk lie in the shore tonight, right at dusk. I promise you there will be fish, more fish than you can eat," I called out as I ran for camp. That evening, I waited till the sun started setting. I sneaked to the ordnance shed and got me an armload of dynamite and fuses in a charge box. I made my way to the river's edge just north of the village. I assembled a bundle of dynamite and set a long line of fuse and swam it out to a group of rocks in the center of the river. Swam back to the shore and connected the fuse line to the charger. I waited till I could see the womenfolk line the shore. I set the magneto and pushed the plunger down. Boom, boom-a-boom! The water commenced to boil, then shot straight up into the air. Fish started falling out of the sky. They landed all over the bank. Women and children were running back and forth, gathering them up and putting them into their baskets. They were laughing and singing as they did. From that day on, they all called me that boy who made it rain fish. They feasted on them fish for days. What they couldn't eat right away, they dried and preserved. I even shot a water buffalo and butchered it for them so they had fresh meat. The whole focus of my life came to providing for them people. That is, when I wasn't out on the recons and fighting the war. After a time, I told my sergeant about the village folks. He reckoned since they hated the enemy as much as we did, they weren't spies, so he let the children come up to the fence line and even gave them supplies that were being airlifted into us on the landing strip we built. Little Heart was my constant shadow. Almost everywhere I went, except for combat missions, she was right behind me. Whenever I went to her village, it felt like I was home, surrounded by my kinfolk. Everybody in my outfit had grown to love him too. Then one day, my unit was rousted from a sound sleep earlier than usual. "Enemy troops are headed this way," the sergeant barked. "High command has ordered firebombing of the jungle all around us, so we have to evacuate," he added. Get up, we're bombing the jungle," he barked as he ran from tent to tent. "Sarge, what about Little Heart? The villagers," I called out in pure panic. "Ain't got time, kid. Ain't got time to save them," the Sarge whispered. "Sarge, if I run as fast as I can and gather them up and bring them here, can we evacuate them with our troops?" I begged him. The Sarge nodded his permission, and I took off running. I ran so hard and fast that I could taste blood in the back of my throat. I arrived just in time, and they all followed me back to the base. Some of the boys in my outfit picked them up and threw them into the back of transport trucks. Little Heart was in my arms and hugging me as hard as she could. The bombs were screaming into the jungle right behind us. Everywhere we looked, there was fire. Tucky Joe, she cried as she hugged me even tighter. I had to peel her off of me and throw her into a transport truck. She screamed and screamed. I expect she only felt really safe with me. Now I was taking that away from her. I started sobbing, and she reached for me and tried to jump out of the truck. "No, Little Heart, you gotta go, you gotta," I sputtered. Then the truck rolled out with a jerk. Her grandpa held her back as she screamed my name. That's the last time I ever saw that little girl. Finally, the war ended and I went home to Kentucky. I had been wounded several times but came home in one piece. I ended up marrying up with my darling Frida. We moved to Marshall, Michigan, bought a farm, and raised a family together. She gave me 8 beautiful children. We've been married for nigh on to 65 years now. I have 24 grandchildren, 28 great-grandchildren, and even 1 great-great-grandchild. But in all of these years, I don't think a day has passed that my mind didn't fall on thoughts of little heart and set to wondering about her. Now, like a lot of old soldiers, I've been getting sick a lot these days, spending much of my time at the Veterans Hospital clinic over to Battle Creek Way. Frida tried to get me in to see the specialist that could help me, but there was such a waiting list, that we never seemed to be able to see him. I just seemed to be getting worse and worse. What was real hard to take was that my eyesight and hearing was all but gone. Couldn't afford one of them newfangled hearing aids, and eye surgery was expensive. Couldn't pay for it. Then one day, on one of my routine visits to the Veterans Administration, a new nurse came into the room. She was soft and gentle and seemed to really care. She had my thick file in her hand. She opened it and studied it closely. "Is this a photo of you when you were enlisted?" she asked as she showed me an old wrinkled picture. "You were very handsome," she said as she smiled. "That's my Johnny," Frida whispered as she stroked my head. "I have some new medicine for you today, Mr. Whalen. This will be a lot better than what you are using now," she said as she examined me. "I've had a meeting with the specialist and they have agreed to take your case. You need very specific medicines for your heart condition. They have prescribed the finest for you to take," she said as she listened to my heart. "How much is all of this going to cost?" Frida asked. "It is all being taken care of," the nurse said as she held Frida's hands. "And how did you ever get Johnny into the specialist? We've been on a waiting list for what seems like years. We finally gave up hope," Frida cried. "Why are you doing this for me, girlie?" I asked as I searched the nurse's face. "Because I'm taking care of you now, just like you did so many years ago for me." Then she leaned into my face. "Tucky Joe will have only the best for you, my Tucky Joe," the nurse whispered as tears rolled down her cheeks. She rolled up her sleeve and showed a birthmark on her arm. It was shaped like a perfect heart. Yay! So, last picture. The epilogue, Nurse Zabala was true to her word and saw to personally that Johnny Whalen receive the finest care possible for the rest of his days. She later told him that she had been looking for him all these years and had lived in the hope that she could thank him for his kindness. It was because of him that she came to America. She attended nursing school, married, and became the mother of 3 sons. 2 of them are practicing physicians and 1 is an engineer. She felt that none of this would have been possible had she not been saved and fed and cared for by her Tucky Joe. Her greatest gift to him was to order him the best and newest hearing aids. She also saw to it that he had cataract surgery, so for the first time in 10 years he could see and hear. Johnny Whalen was one of the most decorated soldiers in his company. He received the following awards: 2 Purple Hearts, 3 Bronze Stars, 1 Bronze Arrowhead, the Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal, the Philippine Liberation Medal, the Korean Service Medal, the Combat Badge, a Good Conduct Medal, and the World War. But to Johnny Whalen, the medal that meant the most was a small silver heart on a chain that Nurse Zabala gave him shortly before his death. He was buried with it pinned to his chest. On the back it was inscribed, "For my Tucky Joe from your little heart." He passed in January 2010 at the age of 85. The end. I hope you enjoyed this book. Give you a different voice, a different story, a different perspective. Okay, enjoy your day. I hope you all have a great and safe week. Take care.